your head.
A Portland police officer under investigation, threatening to shoot a man for not following commands. The suspect capturing every moment on camera, the graphic pictures that came after the arrest.
Plus, abandoned. A 3-month-old found cold laying in the grass in Lakewood, Washington. Police arresting who they think are his parents.
Minutes from glory. The Gonzaga Bulldogs set to tip off in their first national championship, but for one man...
I bet you had a lot of fun playing for Gonzaga.
Oh, yes. The moment is better late than never. This former player's keys to victory. KGW News at 6 starts now. We begin tonight with disturbing accusations. 2 teen girls say their former principal sexually abused them when they were young.
Now, years later, they're filing a $20 million lawsuit. KGW's Pat Doris is live in front of the county courthouse. Pat?
Well, the lawyers filed the lawsuit here this morning. The man they accuse is now the executive director of a charter school in Hillsborough. Jeff Hayes is the man the young women say sexually abused them at their Damascus school.
I'm a very nice person. I have a good heart, but as soon as I would get close to people, I would become more and more mean.
The women and their moms asked that we keep their identities hidden. There's still a lot of stigma around sex abuse. We met at the office of their lawyer, Greg Kafori, who refused to let them talk about the specifics of the abuse, only how it affected them.
I didn't know why naturally I would lash out at people that I cared about so much, because I could feel the care. And that's when I really realized, okay, there's an issue here, like something that was bigger than what I could understand. She says Hayes is responsible. He's now the executive director at the City View Charter School in Hillsborough. There are no allegations of abuse there. The lawsuit accuses Hayes of taking the young women to his office alone when each was a second grader, closing the door, pulling the shades, and sexually abusing them. The 19-year-old is now speaking out so other girls will know it's okay to say something. Please don't be scared and know that it's not okay. No matter what he says to you, it's not okay. Her mother said it's been awful watching her daughter struggle, that the now 19-year-old was at one time suicidal.
Just watching her change from being such a vibrant young girl to this, depressed and crying all the time, wailing when she would cry. And her relationships with her family and her friends changed, and just acting out, and it was just terrifying. The other young woman is now 16. She too wants to tell abuse survivors to come forward.
The longer you go, I think the more it would affect you being alone and then not having any help or the support of your family. I'm sorry.
The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says they did do a criminal investigation into these allegations. That investigation wrapped up in January. The district attorney has not yet brought any criminal charges. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat. For the second time in as many weeks, allegations of misconduct against a Portland police officer. Our news partner, the Oregonian, reports the officer threatened to shoot a man in the head. KGW's Mike Benner is live in downtown Portland with more on that tonight. Mike.
Tracy, the officer at the center of this whole thing is still working the streets, but don't let that fool you. He is the focus of an internal review. His name is Matt Bagoni. In September of last year, he was involved in the arrest of a man by the name of Christopher Fish. We have photos of Fish after the arrest. You can see his face is pretty bruised. He says officers did this. Well, before the arrest, officers were trying to get him to come out of his motorhome at Southeast 122nd and Foster. Fish asked for time to put some clothes on and smoke a cigarette, but officers said no. In cell phone video we obtained, you can hear Officer Bagoni on 2 different occasions using expletives and threatening to shoot Fish in the head. He even threatens to shoot Fish's dog. Here's more of the audio suitable for television.
I think there's any way that you're going to stay in this RV tonight. It's not going to happen. You need to come to the door with your hands up, because you're under arrest for your felony warrants. If you don't do that, we're going to come in and get you.
Now, a jury acquitted Fish of resisting arrest. He does plan to file a lawsuit over what happened. In the meantime, a spokesman for the Portland Police Bureau isn't saying much, only that the Bureau takes allegations of misconduct seriously. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Police are now questioning the parents of a baby that was abandoned in Lakewood, Washington. The 3-month-old baby boy is okay despite being found lying in the grass about 1:30 this morning. A woman out walking found the baby about a half-mile from downtown Lakewood. Police have detained the parents. The mother told detectives she took drugs that made her paranoid and left the baby in a front yard hoping someone would find him. The baby is now in protective custody.
I'm outraged. That's like a 500% increase.
People who live and park in Northwest Portland are worried tonight about a possible increase in their neighborhood parking permits. KGW's Chris Willis joins us. And Chris, this is the Nob Hill neighborhood, and gosh, parking's already really tough there.
You've been there, right? Some people say it's impossible. We're specifically talking about the Zone M parking permits in the Nob Hill neighborhood. That runs from about 18th Avenue all the way up to 27th. Parking is a hot commodity. Get this, about 9,000 Zone M parking permits are sold every year. And then those people fight out for about roughly 5,000 on-street parking spots. That's a tough equation. Well, now this flyer is going up around the neighborhood, warning residents of a huge price increase for those parking permits. Right now, they're about $60, but some say the city's going to jack them up to 500% to about $300 a year.
My concern is that they're pricing out middle-income people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I come home from work between 2 and 4 a.m. every night, and it turns out to be tough. There was one weekend the car got towed twice.
All right, here's the deal. We called the city today, and they say this is just a rumor. The Bureau of Transportation told us today, quote, in December, the City Council directed PBOT to work on a pilot program to better manage parking permits in Zone M. We are working with the Northwest Parking District Stakeholder Advisory Committee, which is a fancy way of saying people who live there, to come up with a proposal for later this spring.
Well, gosh, that's a lot of money for a 50-50 shot of getting a parking place, right? So have they decided anything?
That's just it. Nothing's been decided now, but neighbors are holding a special meeting tomorrow at the Friendly House. That's on Northwest 26th, and at that time, they'll address all their concerns.
All right, thank you, Chris. From parking to traffic issues, Laurel.
Well, here you see the Morrison Bridge talk about traffic issues live from one of our sky cams. Right now, all but 2 lanes are closed for repair, and that's the way it's going to be for most of the year. This is to make room for major repair work. Crews need to replace faulty polymer deck panels on the lift deck. In the end, the commute will be smoother, safer, and the bridge deck will last longer, but it's not going to be ready until November.
It's already bad in the mornings, but we both head into downtown and I go to North Portland, so it's rough.
That's the best way for me to get to Northwest generally, is taking the Morrison Bridge if 405 is really bad.
Yeah, it's too bad, but it's... And didn't we just replace the bridge?
It's not going to be fun. It's kind of hard to get to work on Monday morning in the first place, so that's definitely going to be a little bit of a backup.
Yes, it will, and crews recommend drivers take the Burnside Bridge or I-5 North to 405 to get into downtown or Northwest Portland.
Well, a lot of us have driven over those pesky potholes all over town, and I'm sure you've wondered if it did any damage to your car.
Well, if you think it did, there is a way to file a claim with the city of Portland, believe it or not. Today, the dry weather meant both Portland Transportation and Oregon Transportation crews were hard at work patching up those thousands of potholes in the Portland area. ODOT says its crews have had their work cut out for them.
We've been out filling potholes since the storm stopped. Every single day, filling many of them many times, a couple times a week, the same darn potholes.
He says it's because of the wet weather we've had and all the heavy traffic that most of the pothole repairs just aren't holding up. Now, if you think a pothole in Portland damaged your car, you can file a claim with the city, although we're told most of them go unpaid.
Well, if you're looking for a way to enjoy the sun, you can always try a walk on the East Bank Esplanade. It's open once again, at least the floating portion back open tonight. The city had to close it off because of high water on the Willamette. This, of course, very popular for runners, cyclists, and walkers.
Coming up minutes away from the big game, and Gonzaga fans are going crazy.
And they can spell. We go live to the University of Phoenix Stadium next and catch up with Joe Donlin and fans eager to claim their first championship trophy ever.
That'll be amazing. I sure hope they win. Hey, out of the coast right now, clouds are rolling in, but fear not. It'll be dry through Wednesday, which may actually be our warmest day of the year so far. You're going to want to find out what happens next, however.